Let's get right into it. Number 10. Rogue waves. Picture this. You're on a cruise ship, sipping a watered-down pina colada, pretending the karaoke wasn't a war crime, when suddenly, bam! Out of nowhere, a wall of water the size of a small apartment complex slams into the ship. That's not a tsunami. That's not a storm wave. That's a rogue wave. And the ocean basically rolled a natural 20 on Scare the Humans. These things are real, and they're terrifying because they don't play by the rules. Normal waves kind of stack together, follow patterns, and give weather people a fighting chance. Rogue waves? Nope. They appear randomly, sometimes over 80 feet tall, and disappear just as suddenly. Scientists used to think they were sailor tall tales, like sea serpents or mermaids with suspiciously human legs. Then, in 1995, the Draupner oil platform in the North Sea recorded a monster wave over 84 feet high. Proof. Cue collective pants-wetting. The math behind it is like your high school physics teacher's nightmare. Nonlinear wave interference, energy transfer, and chaos theory. Basically, the ocean decides to have a freak-out, and instead of throwing dishes, it stacks a skyscraper of water and hurls it at you. Nice. The scariest part. Ships are designed for expected waves. Rogue waves are not expected. That's why they've sunk oil tankers and freighters without so much as a mayday. Imagine living in a world where the sidewalk could randomly explode under you, and you'd get the idea. Number 9. The Milky Sea effect. Imagine you're out at night on the open ocean. It's pitch black, stars above, everything calm, and then the water around your boat starts glowing. Not a little shimmer, not a sparkle. Miles and miles of glowing ocean, like you've accidentally drifted into an alien rave. This is called the Milky Sea effect, and it's so surreal sailors have compared it to sailing through snow. Entire patches of ocean can glow bluish-white for hours or even days, covering areas as large as Connecticut. And the creepiest part? Nobody really knows how it works. The leading guess is bioluminescent bacteria teaming up in massive numbers. These little microbes basically flash, "Hey, look at me," when disturbed. But in the Milky Sea, they're just always on. It's like millions of microscopic rave kids refusing to leave the dance floor. But scientists still don't fully understand how they coordinate on such a massive scale. The phenomenon is so rare that for centuries it was dismissed as sailor exaggeration. Then, in 2005, a group of researchers actually confirmed one using satellites. Picture a whole chunk of the Indian Ocean glowing like a radioactive puddle. That's not just eerie. That's nightmare fuel if you're stuck on a little wooden ship. Some people think it's harmless. Others worry it could mess with ecosystems or navigation. Personally, I just think it's suspicious when nature suddenly decides to cosplay as Tron. Number 8. Brinicles, the ice fingers of death. If the ocean had its own horror movie villain, it would be brinicles. These things are like icy death tentacles that grow downward from floating sea ice. They're also called ice fingers of death, which sounds like a bad heavy metal band. But no, it's real. Here's the science. When super salty water leaks from sea ice, it's colder than the water around it, so it sinks. As it sinks, it freezes the seawater into a hollow, icy tube, like a frozen straw reaching down to the sea floor. If you're an unlucky starfish or sea urchin in the way, you get flash frozen in place. Nature's instant popsicle. These brinicles spread out across the seafloor, trapping and killing anything too slow to move. And because they only form in super cold, calm waters, humans didn't even know they existed until scientists filmed one in Antarctica in 2011. Imagine discovering the ocean had been growing murder fingers this whole time and just didn't tell anyone. It's like watching someone slowly dip an icicle into a fish tank, and every fish it touches just keels over. Terrifying, but also kind of metal. Number 7. Red tides. You're walking along a beach expecting postcard vibes, when suddenly the ocean looks like it's been binge drinking tomato juice. The waves crash red, the air smells funky, and every fish in sight is doing the backstroke of death. Congratulations, you've stumbled onto a red tide. This isn't the ocean just deciding to be goth for a day. Red tides happen when certain algae populations explode, turning the water into a literal soup of toxins. The official name is harmful algal blooms, but honestly, toxic death confetti feels more accurate. Some produce neurotoxins that kill fish, shellfish, and occasionally unlucky mammals who forgot to read the "Do Not Enter" sign. Now, here's the kicker. You don't even have to touch the water. These blooms can release toxins into the air, so just breathing on the beach can give you coughing fits and burning eyes. Basically, the sea can pepper spray you from a distance. Scientists study red tides like detectives at a crime scene because they're unpredictable and devastating. Coastal economies tank, fisheries collapse, and dolphins straight up die because the ocean decided to host a poison kegger. And while nutrient runoff and climate change are making them worse, the exact triggers are still murky. So yeah, next time you see the waves looking like cranberry juice, maybe don't dip your toes in, unless you're into coughing, nausea, and fishmageddon. Number 6. Black smokers. Imagine the Earth had a coffee machine, but instead of espresso, it shot boiling hot metal-rich water from the seafloor. That's basically what black smokers are, underwater hydrothermal vents that spew out mineral-laden water so hot it could cook your ramen in seconds. They sit thousands of feet below the surface, hidden in total darkness, looking like underwater chimneys puffing out black clouds. These aren't just creepy, they're dangerous. The water blasting out of them is over 700 degrees Fahrenheit. But because of the insane pressure at those depths, it doesn't boil. It just stays liquid, basically defying your kitchen science class. Now here's where it gets wild. Instead of being barren death zones, black smokers are teeming with life. Giant tube worms, shrimp, and bacteria thrive there, feasting on chemical energy instead of sunlight. It's like the ocean runs a secret post-apocalyptic society powered by sulfur and pure spite. For scientists, black smokers are both fascinating and horrifying. On one hand, they might hold clues to the origins of life itself. On the other hand, if one collapses or shifts, it can trigger underwater landslides or earthquakes. You know, just the casual threat of an entire seafloor rearranging itself while we're up here arguing about pineapple on pizza. So next time you're sipping coffee, remember, the Earth also makes its own brew, and it's served piping hot with a side of, "Don't you ever touch this." Number 5. The bloop back. In 1997, scientists recorded a sound in the Pacific Ocean so loud it was picked up from over 3,000 miles away. They named it the bloop because apparently no one had the imagination budget for something scarier. The recording, a low, rumbling, organic-sounding noise that immediately had people whispering, giant sea monster? Theories ran wild. Was it Cthulhu waking up from his nap? Godzilla clearing his throat? The ocean's version of a burp? For years, nobody knew. The sound didn't match ships, whales, or underwater earthquakes. It was just loud, weird, and unsettling. Eventually, scientists concluded it was most likely the sound of massive icebergs cracking and breaking apart, which honestly is both comforting and not comforting at all. Because sure, it's not a monster, but it is the sound of climate change playing percussion in the key of doom. The unsettling part, we still pick up strange ocean noises all the time. Most are chalked up to natural events, but not all of them are neatly explained, which means there's still room, technically, for ancient Leviathan snoring. Sleep tight. Number 4. Whirlpools of doom. Picture a giant watery blender forming out of nowhere, spinning fast enough to swallow small boats whole. That's not a scene from Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a real ocean phenomenon called a whirlpool, or if you want to sound extra dramatic, a maelstrom. Most whirlpools are harmless little swirls, the kind you see when you pull the plug in your bathtub, but in the right conditions, narrow straits, strong tides, opposing currents, they scale up into something that looks like Poseidon just hit the blend button. Famous ones like Norway's Saltstraumen and Japan's Naruto whirlpools are strong enough to drag down ships if they get too close. Scientists can explain the mechanics. It's just water trying to balance energy between colliding flows. But knowing the math doesn't make it less terrifying when the ocean is suddenly impersonating a black hole. Imagine being a fisherman, minding your nets, when the sea beneath you starts to spin like it's auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. Hard pass. And because whirlpools are so unpredictable, they've inspired centuries of mythology. Ancient sailors thought they were literal sea monsters, sucking ships down to the underworld. And honestly, that's not far off when the ocean's basically playing delete on anything floating nearby. So yeah, whirlpools, nature's reminder that even water can cosplay as a cosmic vacuum cleaner. Number 3, the midnight zone. If you want nightmare fuel, just imagine sinking 2 miles below the ocean surface. No sunlight, no sound except your own panicked breathing. And surrounding you, the midnight zone. It's not a theme park ride, it's the real name for the ocean layer where sunlight dies and monsters begin. Down there, pressure is crushing, temperatures are near freezing, and the creatures look like rejected Pokémon. We're talking anglerfish with glow-stick lures, gulper eels with jaws that unhinge like horror movie props, and squid the size of school buses just casually existing. The creepy part isn't just the monsters, it's the unknown. Scientists estimate we've only explored about 5% of the deep ocean, meaning most of it is basically a blank space on the map that might as well say, "Here be nightmares." And yet, life thrives down there in ways we still don't understand. Some creatures survive without sunlight, feeding off marine snow, a polite term for dead things raining down from above. Explorers who've gone down in submersibles often describe it as otherworldly, but let's be real, it's just space with more water and worse lighting. The midnight zone is terrifying because it proves Earth doesn't need aliens to be horrifying. We've already got them, chilling in the basement. Number 2, underwater lakes. Yes, you heard that right. There are lakes under the ocean. Imagine swimming down and suddenly seeing waves lapping at a shoreline, but it's all submerged, like Inception forgot to stop spinning. These are called brine pools, or underwater lakes, and they're made of super salty water that's denser than the surrounding seawater, so it settles at the bottom like a creepy second ocean. The borders of these lakes look like shimmering shorelines, and if you're in a submarine, you can actually see the waves moving on top, which is equal parts cool and terrifying, because if you try to dive into one, the salinity and toxic chemicals can kill most life instantly. Crabs and fish that accidentally stumble in often end up preserved like crime scene evidence. Scientists love studying these lakes because they're extreme environments, possibly similar to what we'd find on alien planets. But imagine being a deep-sea creature, just minding your business, and oops, you swim into what looks like a fun puddle and immediately die. The ocean really has no chill. These underwater lakes are basically death traps dressed as paradise. Think of it as the ocean pranking you with a fake swimming pool full of acid. Welcome to the most sinister case of water inside water ever. Number 1. Dead zones. Now imagine an ocean so empty of life, it feels like you're staring into an underwater graveyard. That's a dead zone, a patch of ocean where oxygen levels drop so low, almost nothing can survive. No fish, no crabs, no dolphins, just silence and decay. It's like the ocean hit the airplane mode button and forgot to turn it back off. These zones happen when nutrient pollution, stuff like fertilizer runoff and sewage, funnels into the ocean. That overload fuels massive algae blooms, and when the algae die, bacteria eat them up and suck all the oxygen out of the water. The result? A suffocating wasteland where marine life either flees or dies. It's the aquatic equivalent of someone hotboxing a car with doom. The Gulf of Mexico has one of the biggest dead zones on Earth, sometimes larger than the state of New Jersey. Picture all that lifeless water, just drifting, expanding, and casually wiping out fisheries. Scientists monitor these zones obsessively because they're growing, and fast. Climate change and human activity make them worse, and once they hit a certain point, it's almost impossible for ecosystems to bounce back. Here's the real kicker. From the surface, they look totally normal. You could be boating across what seems like a thriving sea, while below you is an invisible apocalypse. Dead zones are like the ocean's silent protest. You broke me, now deal with it. And that's what makes them so terrifying. Not the drama of glowing seas or monster waves, but the quiet, suffocating reminder that the ocean doesn't need teeth or claws to kill. It just needs to run out of air. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.